We are so sorry for the delay, and now we continue with the next session that will be book launches. So, for our next session, we have the celebration of new green reads in the town. I'd request Miss Richa to take over from here.
Thanks, Bhargav, and thank you all. And really apologize for all the waiting that you had to do. Uncle Murphy is a guest at our festival today. So, um, at GLF, we are always on the lookout for new and exciting green reads that have either hit or about to hit the market. Since our first offline edition last year, we've taken a conscious call to offer a platform to the creators of such books to come and speak about their work. This year, too, we have a wonderful set of works that we'll be discussing and showcasing today. And we hope you'll all join us in celebrating and making these books a runaway success. To begin this session, I would like to invite Mr. Stephen Alter to come and say a few words and celebrate these green reads with us.
Thank you, Rich, and it's a real pleasure to be here, and I'm so grateful to have been invited to this festival because it's not everywhere that books about nature, books about the environment, books about wildlife, whatever it may be, get celebrated and showcased in the way that you're doing this here. And so I think it's a real privilege for all of us to be able to focus on those particular topics and subjects. Um, it was interesting, a little while ago, there was a session here with a number of young children. And Mega, I think, was leading that session, and she had asked the children, "What are the favorite color of books that you, uh, what color of book would you choose if you were in a bookstore?" And there were reds, and there were greens, and there were oranges, and but greens were in the minority in there. But then when she asked if it was a book about wildlife or environmental issues, all of the hands shot up. So green books don't necessarily have to have a green cover, as far as I'm concerned on that. But the other thing I would say that I think is encouraging and important is we usually think about nature writing or green literature as being nonfiction, written by experts in certain fields, whether it's scientists, whether it's social scientists, whatever it may be, who have studied issues connected to the environment. But I think every genre can be represented in nature writing, whether it's children's writing, whether it's fantasy, even, whether it's even science fiction can be green in its own particular way, and adult fiction as well can focus on all of those things that you are obviously interested in because you're here. So I congratulate all of the authors whose books are going to be launched here today. I congratulate all of you for being a part of this, and I look forward to reading each of these books after they've been launched. So thank you all very much.
Okay, Mr. Alter, if you could just stay on the stage with us. Mr. Alter needs no introduction, but he's written over 20 books for children and for adults, centered around Himalayas, mountains mostly. His work has been honored with fellowships from the Guggenheim Foundation, the Fulbright Program, the East West Center in Hawaii, and the BAM Center for the Mountain Culture. And it's indeed an honor for us to have you here. Um, we'll start off with the genre that excites us the most at the festival, the children's books. And the first one that we want to celebrate today is, can we move to the next slide, please? Are There Bun Shops in the Jungles of India by Nandini Nayar.
And my question to Nandini was, are there? So she has to answer.
So, Nandini, if you could tell the audience a little more about your book.
Um, Thank you all for being here, and thank you so much, Stephen, for launching the book. So this is on the aspect of wildlife that interested me a lot. This is about the animals that were actually captured and taken out of India in the time when the British ruled here. So I call it the British Raj, but it was a little before that actually, or just around that time. So what I base these stories on, so it's a collection of short stories, and they are based on actual research that I did and accounts of the animals that were captured and were taken and were then displayed in menageries in England, and then later also the first zoo which was set up in England. And what I've done is a little bit of creative imagination about what the situation was, because animals are very badly documented in history. You'll find a lot of documentation about the people who traveled and what they did, and even the names of the ships and how many crew members they had. But they very offhandedly mentioned that there was an elephant, a young elephant or an old elephant, and that's about it. So while the elephants are real and they are very specific elephants, the stories around them and the people who are part of the stories are something that I imagine. And I wrote this because it fascinated me, and it seemed to me that there were bound to be other readers who also would want to know what animals experienced when they were taken uh, on such long journeys, when they were snatched away from the world that was so familiar to them, and then put into cages that were too small for them, and then transported from these jungles to the nearest port, which was still quite some distance away, and then loaded on to a ship where they traveled for 6 to sometimes even 9 months if the weather was bad. Also, the other things that they suffered, because once in England, it was not like there were people who really knew what these animals needed, what they ate, what kind of caring they needed. So that suffering, the way the audiences there reacted to these animals, the way they thought of them, and how they thought that they represented India. So these and a lot other facts that fascinated me have gone into these stories, and I hope that children and perhaps adults who are interested in history and animals will find them interesting and read them.
Thank you, Nandini. That was a lovely introduction, and I can't wait to read the book myself. Next up, we have When Fairyland Lost Its Magic by Bijal, Vachharajani, and Rajiv. Eipe. Bijal and Rajiv, please stay.
Hi everyone. We have a little game for you all to tell you what our book is about. It's called Pixie-anary, like Pictionary. So let's start, shall we? What do you see here? What color is this? Hello. Okay. What's that? Sorry, I'll help you hold it. What's that? I. Think of a vegetable. Yam. Yeah, I am an otter.
Also called an illustrator. It's a very specific dog.
Which dog is this? Yes, Laika. Two. I like it. I'm usually found on saris. What pictures? Yeah. Books. Yes. And pani in Hindi, another word, jal, Bijal. Me. Nandini and Lakshmi are getting into it.
Draw pictures in her book. It's not a bee. Tin, tin. Present tin.
This is our book, When Fairyland Lost Its Magic. Inside is. Can you guess what all there is? Yes, there's a fairy nanny, there's a big wolf, there are princesses, and what's there? What is this? Climate and
The magic of. Sorry, this is such a bad drawing.
there's some lovely ones in the book. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Bijal and Rajiv, for that wonderful introduction to your book. Totally color coordinated as well. Next up, we have Guardians of the Forest by Priyadarshini.
Okay, I'll just go ahead and start while that changes. So, hi everybody. My name is Priyadarshini. I know most of you here will not know me, so that's why I'm going to give you an introduction. I come from Kodaikanal, Tamil Nadu. I'm from the mountains, and I was born there. I grew up there, and right now I am a teacher. I interact with a lot of students. I'm also a storyteller and a children's book author. This is actually my second novella when it comes to environmental fiction. The first one is called The Myth of the Wild Gore, which has been introduced by Zai Whittaker. And both my books, that one and The Guardians of the Forest, which is still not here, but The Guardians of the Forest, both deal with environmental protection and conservation, specifically in Kodaikanal. So this book is about what happens when tourists come to a place like Kodaikanal and the kind of negative impact that tourists have on the landscape and the biodiversity. And my books are also very thrilling. They are very adventurous because I want children to also enjoy eco-fiction. And, you know, immediately when I sometimes even tell my students eco-fiction, they say, ma'am, that's boring. So I want to give them a very different perspective of eco-fiction, which can also be thrilling, adventurous, and which can kind of keep you at the edge of your seat as well. So that's all about me. I really hope that you look out for my books and please do check it out. I'm sure that you will enjoy them and it will give you a very different perspective of Kodaikanal and how it feels like to live on the mountains. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Priyadarshini.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay.
Thanks, Priyadarshini, and wish you all the best for the book. Next up, we have Let's Talk About Trees by Roopa Pai. Unfortunately, Roopa is not here with us today, but we have Shanali from WWF who have published this lovely, lovely book.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm Nali. I co-lead the Green Publications vertical at WWF in Delhi. So this particular book is very special because a very engaging introduction into the world of trees, and it's for kids, young adults, and adults alike. It has very colorful and vivid illustrations from the Indian context, and also, more interestingly, activities that you can do to get to know trees. It also goes into social and cultural context and history with trees, so it has something to offer from different perspectives of trees, and it covers a lot of the common trees that we have see in most of our Indian cities. So I hope you enjoy it. I hope you enjoy it. It's available here along with other WWF publications, so please check it out. Thank you, Richa.
Thank you, Shanali. Um, Last of the children's books that we are going to launch today is The Magical Everything by Jenny Pinto. It's still work in progress, but at GLF we are very excited when Jenny told us about this book. No, no, that's good.
Just to say launching and then congratulations. That's fine. And then I'll let you, just so they get a photograph. I think that's, yeah, sure.
Hello. Um, yeah, the book is going to be another 2 or 3 months in the making, and the illustrations are still. It's actually half. It's like a hybrid graphic novel. It's called The Magical Everything. Yeah, there's that. That's the cover. And I thought I'd just read a small extract just to, yeah, since the book's not in the bookshop. So Ela, the protagonist, she's a 12-year-old protagonist, and she's right now in a spaceship circling Earth, and you're going to have to read the book to find out how she got there. But she's talking to the astronaut Ramanujam. And so they're in the middle of the conversation. There's lots that's already happened. And Ela says, it seems like we humans have developed an economy and technologies to help us live independent from nature, no? Said Ela. We might like to believe that, but really, whatever we do in the human world, make pizza, drive to school, watch a movie, build a home, buy jeans, use your mobile phone, we use resources and services of some being, living or dead, in an ecosystem somewhere on Earth. That connects us, whether we know it or not. Without these connections, our economy and technologies would, simply collapse. So then Ela says, but how can all gazillion of us be interconnected? I mean, what connects us? It can't be simply biology or chemistry or evolution. It's like there's a mysterious something, the magical everything, says Ramanujam, looking intently at Ela. Wait, what? Said Ela, turning to him wide-eyed. The magical everything, that's the secret source of life. Let's just say we are stardust in the quest for the magical everything. So the astronaut eventually sends Ela on a journey through all the ecosystems to find out what the magical everything is. And the book is actually about climate change, but it talks about it through the interconnections we have with, humans have with ecosystems, and how we are interdependent, interconnected, and there's synergy. And I think, my education, which was many, many years ago, I liked certain subjects. I was very afraid of science. And it was years later that I realized actually it was just my reductionist education that disconnected everything from me. So I think I really started this book. This book has been probably 20, 25 years in the thinking, but 3 years in the writing. And it really set out to join the dots and fill in the gaps for me, for young Jenny, whatever, that many years ago. And I'm hoping that, yeah, making those connections for children today um, helps them in the future to actually change the entire paradigm. I mean, you got to change the way we think if we have to, uh, you know, um engage with the climate change world. It's not about only about mitigation and adaptation. It's about changing our lives actually, and that's really what this book sets out to do. Thank you. So it'll be out in about Feb or March of 24, and I guess you'll just have to, yeah, maybe at the Greenlit Fest can let their the attendants know that it's out. But I hope that some of you will read it. Thank you.
Thank you, Jenny. Moving on, we move to the books for us boring adults, but the books are not boring at all. The first one that we start with is a book that we have been waiting for and we have already discussed in the festival today, Intertidal, A Coast and Marsh Diary by Yuvan. No, the book is not, it's going to come here.
Okay, hello everybody. Now, Intertidal is a diary of deep observation. Um, there is, it. I got fascinated with the coastline on one day when there was this beaching of small creatures called blue buttons, like en masse, all along the Tamil Nadu coast, and I started going back there, and it sort of threw up the fact that that was a rich living learning space. Then shortly after that, I got into the movement of protesting against a large megaport coming next to Chennai and threatening a large part of its landscape and waterscape. And then got entangled with a number of other campaigns. Um, while also looking at the coastline as a metaphysical, metaphoric space. And there are ways of thinking and imagining which emerge only in entanglement with all of life as such. So this diary, it has sort of 6 chapters, and um, there are places where I record what the campaigning process looks like, what bringing children to wild places is like in real time, and also has observations of biodiversity inward, which then allows us a similar kind of keen observation which you can take within yourself. There's also periods of grief, joy, different things which happen in my life, and at the center of it, the sort of cusp and pivot of it, is the coast and marsh I live in, and a daily practice of observing and engaging with the more than human world. Yeah, that's the best I can describe this book. Yeah, even though I've written it, it's many things together. uh, yeah, thank you. Yeah, yeah.
Thanks, Yuvan. Wish you all the best for the when the book comes out. Next up, next slide, please. A very exciting book called The No Waste Kitchen Cookbook by chef Arina Suchde.
Hi everyone, my name is Arina. I'm a chef and a mixologist, and I think for the last 15 years I mainly do workshops for kids and adults. Uh, and I think I was brought up in an environment where nothing was kind of left over or nothing was thrown away. But as I started learning more and cooking on my own professionally, even on a personal level, I realized that when you say the word food waste, what's the first thing that comes to mind for everybody across the board? Leftover food, right, from a big meal. But for me, the eye opener was that the wastage starts way before we even start cooking. Wastage starts at the farm level, going all the way down to our supply chain till it reaches our plates. For me, then I wanted to just go one step behind, and I realized the wastage already occurs while we're prepping to cook our meals. When we're peeling our veggies, chopping our veggies, there's about 30 to anywhere between 30 to 60% of perfectly edible, nutritious food that ends up in the trash. And it's not an alien concept. It's something that generations before us have already been doing. Our generation has kind of forgotten it in the fast-paced life. So this book is a small attempt at some old traditional recipes and some new recipes, kind of spread across different cuisines, different categories of dishes, where I teach people how to cook with parts of fruits and veggies that we would normally throw away. So skins of carrots, potatoes, rind from the watermelon, stems from the greens that we normally throw away, and herbs like that. And it includes like a few other tips outside the kitchen of where you can still use food scraps if they're not edible, or if you think they're not organic and you don't feel comfortable, but there are other uses around the house or in other aspects of our life. So that's what the book is essentially about. Thank you.
Thank you, Arina. Next slide, please. Next up, I would like to invite Miss Anita Mani for this wonderful book that has come out recently, Women in the Wild.
So, women, the photo on the cover of the book is what I want to talk about. I mean, it's a photo that I saw in Sanctuary magazine many years ago, and it's a picture of J. Vijaya, the herpetologist from Chennai. I grew up in Chennai too, and the decade after Vijay, so I sort of understood the kind of landscape, the social milieu in which she probably operated. And what struck me was the vitality, the intelligence, and I really wanted to know more. And I started reading up. And when I launched the Indian Pitta imprint last year, I was very clear that we had to write Vijay's story. So that was the genesis for Women in the Wild. And once I started reading up about Vijay and her work, we realized there was such fantastic work being done by women wildlife biologists. And people ask me why specifically women. I think one, wildlife biology is a tough ask in many ways. Long hours in the field, working in remote areas where rewards and outcomes are not easily discernible. And for women, there are a whole bunch of special issues. And I thought that it was a great thing, it would be a great idea to sort of mix these stories up together and write about them. So the book has some really fascinating stories. It's an anthology, so I haven't written all of it. I've edited the anthology. I've written two of the essays, but there's some brilliant essays by people like Raza Kazmi on India's lost bird woman. Now, I think the young children would know who Salim Ali is, right? But do you know who Jamalara is? If Salim Ali was India's bird man, Jamalara was India's bird woman. She worked in Bihar and Chota Nagpur in the 50s and 60s, going into forests and landscapes now, which since then have not really been explored after her because of various insurgency and other issues in some of those areas. And she was a single woman working alone in those areas who taught herself to write and read English, taught herself field research skills, taught herself how to go into the forest and look for birds, and graduated to writing for very prestigious journals like the Journal of the Bombay Natural History Society or the Bengal Natural History Society. I think that's like amazing. I mean, this book has some wonderful stories about women like her, and I hope a lot of you, and especially the young people in this audience, would read it, and I think be inspired like I was when putting the book together. Thank you.
Thank you, Anita. And the last in the books that we are going to celebrate today, we have Journal of Eco+Urbanism and Neuroarchitecture by Anne Rochyne Thomas.
Hello, everyone. So this is a debut issue of a new journal. This is the debut issue of a new journal, and although it's a journal, we are not just targeting practicing professionals, architects, and neuroscientists, but we're also hoping that their clients, which include homeowners, will take an interest. And that is exactly why the format is in the form of a magazine, as you can see. This is very unlike what a regular research journal looks like. So this is part of our Bionova's consumer education initiative. So neuroarchitecture is a very niche field. It's about applying the science, it's about applying neuroscience within the built environment. You know, the built environment constitutes everything. And this is for the children to understand. So any structure, any built structure can include closed structures or open structures, can include gazebos. So any place that makes you feel good. That's what the architects, that's what designers want to do, and that is why we need this subject. So this is fairly new, and this is actually the world's first research journal in neuroarchitecture. And we have around 7 articles here, and this is available as an open access journal online on the company's website, and this is also available. Printed copies are also available. So I'm really hoping that anyone who is planning to design their houses or their homes, or if you're in the hospitality or healthcare sector and you want to make changes to your establishments, you will take a look at it and hopefully connect with the authors, because they are all, what we want to do is not just get the message across, but also make sure that the readers know whom to approach in order to implement what they have just read about. So that is why we have also included the contact details of all the authors, so that if you do want to implement whatever is being shared in this journal, you can always get in touch with these professionals and get it implemented in your house or your office or your any other establishment. So that's, and thank you for this platform. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Anne. Um, I would like to thank Mr. Walter for launching all these wonderful books for us. Just to remind you all of these books that we have discussed today, they are available at our festival bookstore partners, Attagalata and Funky Rainbow. Do check out the books. The authors are here. Grab them, get their signatures on the books, and promote green books as much as possible.